The stars sparkled like countless diamonds strewn across the rich velvet backdrop of the night sky. The only sound daring enough to fracture the pristine silence of the wilderness was the comforting crackle of the campfire. This tranquil night was intended to be brimming with laughter, marshmallows roasting on the fire, and eerie ghost stories shared in hushed whispers. However, it morphed into an unforgettable night, a night that etched itself into our collective memory. We were 5, a tight-knit group of childhood friends, each different, yet bound together by an unbreakable thread of shared love for thrill and adventure. First was Jack, a towering figure of athletic prowess, eyes always shimmering with a hint of mischief, always eager to take on the next big challenge. Emma, despite her petite frame, filled up the space with her contagious laughter and bubbling energy. Greg, always brimming with clever pranks, was the group's clown, never missing an opportunity to sprinkle humor into any situation. Lily, the quietly observant one, lost in the pages of some novel, provided the thoughtful balance to our group's vibrant energy. And then there was me, the chronicler of our adventures, always weaving tales out of our shared experiences. Our mutual decision had led us to set up camp in the vibrant woods. The woods were a bewitching of mystery and allure, a few miles away from the confines of our small town. Ancient trees towered around us, their gnarled roots suggesting centuries-old stories. The breeze whispered secrets through the rustling leaves, and somewhere in the distance, an owl hooted, adding to the woodland symphony. Our camp was nestled in a small clearing, the flickering fire casting dancing shadows on the surrounding trees, our tents huddled together, forming a tight circle around the warmth of the campfire. Greg, with the glint of adventure in his eyes, suggested we explore the nearby labyrinth of the woods. A palpable sense of excitement filled the air, each of us anticipating the thrill of the unknown. Flashlights in hand, we embraced the night, embarking on an unexpected nocturnal adventure. As we navigated through the thick woods, the beam of our flashlights fell upon an old, decrepit building. A hulking mass of stone and wood, it rose up from the surrounding wilderness, its silhouette etched against the moonlit sky. The building, an ancient church, loomed ominously with its Gothic architecture. The intricate carvings on its exterior, worn out by time and weather. The broken stained glass windows, once a testament to the divine, now stared back at us like blank, hollow eyes. Overgrown vines crept up along its sides, a symbol of nature reclaiming its turf. Our footsteps echoed in the vast silence as we moved closer. Crossing the threshold, we stepped into the church, the air heavy with dust and the scent of decay that comes with abandonment. An eerie silence enveloped the place, a silence so profound it made our hearts pound louder in our chest. Every sound, every shuffle, echoed within the cavernous space, amplifying the feeling of unease. The church was a maze of arches and pillars, each step we took stirring up ancient dust. The worn-out pews, remnants of a congregation long gone, lay submerged in a sea of darkness. As we explored further, an object caught our attention. Resting on an old wooden lectern was an ancient diary, its leather cover worn and brittle with age. The pages, yellowed by time, contained the shaky handwriting of a man who had served this church many decades ago. The words that flowed across the pages, though faded, were still legible. It was the diary of the old priest. As I read aloud the entries, a chill ran through us. The diary was filled with accounts of unexplainable phenomena the priest had encountered, whispers in the dead of the night, shadows that danced in the corners of his vision, and a constant nagging feeling of being watched. The entries became more frantic over time, the fear more tangible. The final entry was the most bone-chilling. The priest wrote about a dark figure that materialized in the church at midnight, a figure that filled him with a sense of indescribable dread. As soon as I closed the book, a biting cold wind swept through the church, each gust a jagged icicle that pierced the silence. The dormant candles, their flames long devoured by the air, spontaneously flickered to life, casting an eerie dance of shadows on the ancient stone walls. An icy shiver coursed through our veins, our hearts pounding out a staccato rhythm of fear. Then, we heard it. A whisper, not merely soft, but insidiously chilling, like a winter fog seeping under a door. We spun around, and there in the consuming darkness was a figure darker than void itself. The air turned dense, filled with the paralyzing essence of pure terror. Panic, not just a feeling, but a palpable entity, filled the room. It to us, heavy and relentless as we scrambled towards our only salvation, the exit. But it was as if the church had a mind of its own, a malevolent consciousness that took perverse pleasure in our fear. The wooden doors, heavy and ancient, slammed with a resounding finality, imprisoning us within its cold, unforgiving walls. The panic escalated into each of us, frenzied and wild, desperately searching for an escape from this claustrophobic nightmare. At last, Jack, his muscles straining with effort and fear, managed to shatter a window with a surge of adrenaline-fueled strength. One by one, we slipped through the jagged aperture, plunging into the embracing darkness of the night, leaving the haunted sanctuary far behind. With adrenaline fueling our bodies, we raced back to our encampment, our hearts pounding like war drums in our chests. A glance over our shoulders revealed the silhouette of the figure standing ominously against the backdrop of the decaying church. It was a spectral vision, a specter that seemed to penetrate our souls with its unblinking gaze. It didn't pursue us, but stare was enough to make our skin crawl. Arriving back at our camp, we packed up our belongings with a hurried and desperate haste. Tents were dismantled with shaky hands, sleeping bags were rolled up with nervous energy. Each crackling leaf underfoot, each snapping twig in the distance amplified the sense of dread coursing through us. Our once lively campsite transformed into a ghostly scene. Gone were the echoes of laughter and cheerful banter from earlier in the night. In their place, a suffocating silence had fallen, heavy and oppressive. The only sound was the rustling of the trees in the wind and our quick breaths. Fear hung in the air, a palpable entity that seemed to settle over us, muffled our whispers and quickened our steps. And then, as if chased by our own shadows, we made our hasty retreat, abandoning the woods that had quickly turned from a sanctuary of fun into an ominous theater of horror. The figure at the church may have remained stationary, but its unsettling presence followed us, a chilling reminder of the unnameable terror we had encountered. In the aftermath of that fateful night, we were irrevocably altered. A profound change had swept over us, fusing our lives together in a manner that surpassed ordinary friendship. We were survivors, bound together by the unspeakable horror. We'd conversation about that ominous night was a forbidden fruit, a taboo that we all tacitly agreed to uphold. We all felt it, the choking grip of fear, the phantom chill that danced on our spines, even in the comfort of our homes. Although we avoided uttering even a whisper about the event, the memory of that camping trip was etched in our minds, each detail vivid as if carved into stone. What began as an ordinary adventure amidst the raw beauty of nature had morphed into an eerie narrative of horror and mystery. The welcoming embrace of the wilderness had turned into gnarled hands of terror, the tranquil starlit sky warped into an ominous dome of suspense. Our naive curiosity had led us down a rabbit hole, revealing to us that not all that lies the deep, shadowy folds of nature is meant to be discovered. We understood the gravity of the phrase, "Some things are better left untouched." The allure of the unknown, the temptation of the untold, was a siren song, yet we learned that some melodies are best left unsung, some stories best left untold. That was a night when the harsh lessons of reality were imparted, and we left our innocence behind. As the first rays of dawn began to pierce the darkness, we found ourselves on the road back home. The drive was silent, each of us lost in our own thoughts, our hearts reverberating with the echoes of the night's terror. The only sounds that punctuated the quiet were the occasional gravelly crunch of tires on the asphalt and the soft hum of the engine. The radio, usually our companion on such trips, was switched off, its cheery tunes a jarring contrast to our somber mood. The sight of our homes, standing tall and unscathed in the soft morning light, was a balm to our weary souls. We disembarked from the car, each step towards our front doors filled with a relief that was almost palpable. Yet, as we crossed the threshold into the familiar, the comfort of our homes seemed foreign. The walls that had once echoed with laughter now seemed to whisper of our secret, our shared experience casting a shadow over the mundane. As night fell, sleep was elusive. We tossed and turned in our beds, the tranquility of our rooms a stark contrast to the turmoil within us. The events of the church replayed in our minds, a haunting film strip that refused to cease. Each creak of the house, each rustle of the wind sent jolts of fear coursing through our veins, a stark reminder of the horrors we'd encountered. As we lay awake, we realized that though we had physically escaped the clutches of our adventure, the mental scars were far from healed. As the sun rose, bringing with it a new day, we found ourselves gathered around the breakfast table. The usual chatter was replaced with a heavy silence, the memories of the previous night hanging in the air like a dense fog. We exchanged glances, our eyes mirroring the confusion, fear, and relief we all felt. The toast was left untouched, the coffee grew cold, and our appetite seemed to have disappeared with the night. For a while, no one spoke. The only sounds in the room were the ticking of the clock and the occasional birdsong from outside the window. Finally, one of us broke the silence. "We can't talk about last night. Not to anyone. Ever." The words echoed in the room, a solemn pact being formed, nods of agreement followed, a shared understanding that what we had experienced was too terrifying, too unreal to be shared with the world. We were ordinary people who had found ourselves in an extraordinary situation, and it was best left as an unsolved mystery, a secret kept safe within the confines of our group. As we went about our day, trying to find normalcy in the mundane, the realization hit us. We were lucky. Lucky to have escaped. Lucky to have survived. The abandoned church, the dark figure, the chilling escape, they were all a part of our past now. But the scars they left behind, the psychological imprint they made, was something we knew we would carry with us forever. As the day drew to a close, we found ourselves looking over our shoulders, jumping at shadows, a constant reminder of the terror of that night. We were lucky to have escaped, and we knew we would never forget that night. Voiceover. A year passed, but the memories of that night were still as vivid as ever. The ticking of the clock, the whispers in the wind, the eerie silhouette, they were not just echoes from the past, they were our constant companions, a part of our present, a part of us. We found ourselves gathered once again, this time in a bustling cafe, the stark contrast to the abandoned church not lost on us. The chatter, the laughter, the clinking of cups against saucers, it felt like a different world, yet the silence that fell upon our group was all too familiar. Our eyes met, a silent conversation happening, unsaid words passing between us. The understanding was there, unspoken yet clear. We had survived, we had escaped, and we were here together a year later. As we sipped our coffees, a new resolve began to take form. A decision, a pact, just like the one we had made a year ago. But this time, it was different. This time, it was about moving forward, about embracing the thrill of adventure without the shadows of our past. We decided to go on another adventure, but this time, we would stay away from abandoned buildings. The memories of the church, the dark figure, they were a part of us, but they were not going to define us. As we left the cafe, a sense of anticipation filled the air. We were stepping into the unknown once again, but this time we were prepared. This time we were not just survivors, we were adventurers. Voiceover. As we embarked on our new adventure, we couldn't help but glance back at the past. A year ago, we were different people, naive and unprepared, stepping into the unknown with reckless abandon. Today, we stood stronger, wiser, our hearts filled with a sense of understanding and acceptance. The memories of the abandoned church, the dark figure, they were etched in our minds, a reminder of the trials we had faced and conquered. We found ourselves at the foot of a mountain, its peak hidden behind a veil of clouds. The air was crisp, the surrounding nature vibrant and alive, a stark contrast to the dead silence of the abandoned building we had once dared to enter. As we started our climb, we could feel the thrill of the unknown once again. But it was different this time. The shadows of our past didn't haunt us. They empowered us, gave us the strength to face whatever lay ahead. We looked at each other, a sense of camaraderie filling the air. We were not just friends, we were survivors, adventurers, each carrying a piece of our shared past, each ready to step into the future. We were excited, the adrenaline rushing through our veins. We knew we had a long journey ahead, filled with challenges and surprises, but we were ready to face it all, together. As we climbed higher, we looked back one last time. The cafe, the church, the dark figure, they were all behind us, a part of our past. We were moving forward, stepping into a new adventure, a new chapter of our lives, but we knew we would never forget. The past was a part of us, a part of our story, and as we moved on, we carried it with us, not as a burden, but as a beacon, guiding us through our future adventures.